Welcome to the Macdownunder Podcast for all Australian Apple computer enthusiasts and collectors.
Lovely.
All right, we're on air, so we'll start. So welcome to episode 6 of the Macdownunder Podcast. My name's Justin, and thanks to everyone who's tuned in so far and left us comments. Don't forget to comment below though, help us improve, and also let us know what you want to talk about. Today we're going to continue our discussion back from episode 1, where we talked a little bit about how we choose what we're going to collect. So this is the rabbit hole edition. How far down the rabbit hole do you go? Or if you prefer Pokemon, do you have to catch them all? So we'll also cover recent for sale ads and some coming events as well. So to introduce my regular co-host, Matthew. Hi Matthew, how are you? How's the museum? What's in focus for you at the moment?
Hey everyone, g'day JD. Good to be back for another episode. In the last week or so down here at the museum, I actually secured something that I'd been slightly chasing for a little while, or I should say keeping my eye out for, which came off the back of one of the for sale listings that we'd highlighted. So this was an Apple scanner, one of the original Apple scanners, which I was able to secure in box from someone locally here, short drive, no international postage or shipping required, which was good. That's kept me busy as I've had the toothbrush out trying to clean the beautiful snow white grooves that we love in that vintage stuff, and fooling around trying to actually get it working. So I'll report back in a later episode how I get on, but it's been great to secure that, which is something I've been looking out for a little while. So that's been my excitement, JD. What about in the last week for you? What have you been up to?
Yeah, well, that sounds fantastic. Can't wait to see the scanner working. So I've been getting ready for VCF Canberra, which is this weekend, and we'll talk about that again soon. So getting boxes and padding and all sorts of stuff to make sure the computers get up there safely. So looking forward to that. And we've talked about a few things in the past, and some mice arrived. One from Germany, which is this PowerBook Grey mouse, which will probably feature at a future episode. So that one's quite rare. And this early Apple IIc mouse. So it's the same sort of Apple IIc mouse that you're used to. The difference being the connector. Where's the camera? The connector. That's a better side of it, which is the original square one. So my understanding, I haven't tested it yet, but my understanding is that this one isn't a mouse port connector. It's actually a joystick connector, and only works on the original Apple IIcs, but not anything else. In fact, I think it causes bad things if you plug into anything else. Anyway, I'm not going to test that, but I will make sure that it works with the early Apple IIc. So these things sort of got me thinking, now that I've got 9 varieties of Apple serial mouse and 12 varieties of ADB mice and 17 varieties of USB mouse, and so far 6 different wireless mice, but I know there's colours out there as well. So how far do you go? So I've sort of made a decision that I'm probably not going to collect the multiple colours of the wireless mice that are out now. And they're not retro, so that sort of fits, but at some point they will be. And starting to collect all these variations is starting to cost a fair bit for a private collector. I'm not quite sure, how I'm going to reconcile all of that. But back in episode 1, we sort of agreed that for the purposes of our collection and certainly for the podcast, we'd try to steer clear of anything that's Intel or newer. Now, mind you, Intel started in 2006, so that's almost 20 years ago now. So that's getting on. But I guess the big question is, how do you decide what you're going to collect? I know I can see in the background there you've got every colour iMac on display, and I know a couple are on loan, but nevertheless you've got them all on display. Are you intending to get an example of everything that's pre-Intel? How do you decide what to put in the museum?
Yeah, it's that where do you draw the line kind of situation, and when I was picturing my G3 iMac setup that I would have here at the museum way before the museum was actually here. I pictured this really lovely display where I could actually have one of each variety as it came based on the specs as well for each of the G3 iMacs. So for example, I was having a chat with one of our viewers, Josh, at Josh's Mac Museum in Sydney this week, and he mentioned he'd just come across the Blueberry slot load G3 iMac with the Firewire port, which was the spec above the entry-level Blueberry, which came with no Firewire. So when you start to think about the G3 iMacs, for example, and the fact that they're a CRT-based display, you think, wow, if I was to get one of every spec in every color, that's a lot of storage space that's going to be needed to have all those on display. So for me personally, right now, I'm happy with one of each color. I would say it is something maybe in the future that I might see my dream come true, where I can have a big wall of one of every spec in every color. But yeah, it's hard to decide, JD. Like I think it's a difficult sort of decision to make. So is there a rule of thumb or any way that you sort of just make a decision on what's coming in and what's not?
No, and I guess I was kind of hoping to get some insights today. So from you or any of our viewers, if you want to comment down below, we'll talk about that again later. But if you want to give us your insights about how you focus your collections. I mean, I know that there's people that just focus. Danny, for example, who we both know, is focused pretty much on Apple IIs. That's his passion, and Apple IIIs. But he has gone into Macs as well. But his focus is very much on those earlier Apples. And I think there's people out there that just get the portable devices, iPods and so forth. So if you've got a focus like that, that's great. And you've said this a few times, the workstation approach, that you've got the period correct computer and the period correct peripherals and device and other devices and so forth, is a nice way to go. But then, once you've got one complete workstation, as you suggested, there's multiple colors, there's multiple versions. And so I think, you and I have spoken a lot about the SEs, and we'll probably do an episode on the Mac SE compacts later on. But I think we've got up to 7 separate examples that we've found there. I know in the Apple II world, there's a whole lot of ways you can slice your collection. So, we know that there's a 2 and a 2 Plus and a 2E. You might throw in a Platinum 2E and a 2GS. So that's 5. But then you talk about the European 2E that's slightly different to the others. There's 7 different versions of the original motherboard. I don't know how many versions of the 2E. There's an awful lot of variations. You can start going down that rabbit hole in a big way. And I sort of did that with the Apple IIcs. I went for one of every ROM version, so there's 4. But then, if I was going to do that with the Apple IIs, I wouldn't be able to afford it for a start. And as you say, spaces are premium as well when you start collecting big things like that. So yeah, mine very much focused on budget than anything else. And so, as I said, I'm trying not to go for multiple colours. I do have most of the iMac colours. There's only one model that I'm actually missing, which is the slot load strawberry. Anybody out there with one of those to spare, let me know. But I haven't gone into the different specs. It's very much slot load, tray load, and one of each colour. I haven't gone into the Firewire upgrades and so forth. So, but again, if something was in front of me and it was cheap and it's something they haven't already got, I would probably buy it. If it was a genuine Apple product. There's all sorts of things you can collect. So storage devices, we haven't really spoken about that. We probably will in a future episode. You mentioned the CRTs. So there's a whole range of monitors that Apple and others have produced for Apple that, again, very big old machines. LCDs are a bit easier to store. Printers, they're sort of a thing of the past these days, but there's some enormous printers that you can collect from Apple, and lots of variations. Keyboards and mice, and that's really where the rabbit hole that I'm going down at the moment. Cameras, Newtons, iPads we talked about, set-top boxes, software. You've got software collections on your shelves. And then there's the merch. Cups and mugs and umbrellas and clothing and all sorts of other stuff. So, do you collect much of those other things?
I think you sort of touched on it just before, Justin, just saying if there's an opportunity to get some of this stuff and it's reasonably priced and, not too bulky to sort of take on and store, then I'll take the opportunity and I'll buy what I can. So, the Blueberry iMac, just going back to that as an example, I've got a non-Firewire version. If I had a Firewire version that was available to me at a cheap price, I'd pick it up. That would be, that'd be cool. But the bits and pieces as well for me are about setting that scene, setting up the scene of having the computer on the desk and being able to have different variants of that. So it's, the Apple software collection is massive. There was something that popped up recently on the Retro Macdownunder podcast this week, which was I think it was the Mac X, the window X window system software. I'd never seen that before, which I thought, hey, that'd be cool. Came with a nice price tag out of the US, but the software collection as well is massive that Apple has. So I think coming back to the computers though, maybe we've got a bit of a differing position here, is that I would collect one of every color before I collected one of every spec, I think. So having the different colors would be good. The physical differences, and another example is the LC pizza box series. Some of those you can get with the auto inject floppy disk, and some of them have the manual inject. So that means that physically on the front, they look different. They might have the monogrammed model on the front of the plastic, or they'll have the little insert badge. So being able to look and say, hey, both of these LC3s for the most part are exactly the same spec, but they look different. That's probably where I focus on, is looking at the different aesthetic of these things.
Yeah, agreed. And that's very much where I've gone with the, for the SEs and the pizza boxes as well. If there's a different aesthetic, that's really pretty much where I've gone. I haven't really looked at the specs and the versions of motherboard and the layouts and so forth, but I know they vary as well. So just on software, I guess, and even hardware, I tend not to go for boxed things. I know there's other collectors out there that want everything in the box. And I guess I've got to say, with my software, again, it's been opportunistic. If it happened to be with the computer, or it's something that I really linked to from my history, from my past, I might have bought it. But my view is, most of the old software now is in archives. It's available if I want to use it, but I'm not that fussed about having a boxed version on the wall, unless it's something that I want to use all the time because it's something I'm going to install. Or what about non-CPU and computer-related items? The merch and the posters and so forth. How do you decide what to have in the museum?
Yeah, gosh. The posters is actually a sore point for me. I don't think I've mentioned it on the podcast previously, but I lost my poster collection in a little flood event, which occurred quite a few years back. So I have probably parked that one just because of the trauma that it digs up for me. But some of this merchandising stuff, this merch I know is a massive quantity of different variations, and there's stuff I see on various sources that pops up all the time. I never knew that this existed, and sometimes I think you also get caught by saying, is this genuine merch or is it knockoff merch? So there's sometimes some conjecture around whether something's a genuine Apple official licensed merch or not as well. But I think right now my focus would be saying, if there's something I can pick up, great. If I can display it, great. My goodness, that would be a mammoth effort to set about collecting every piece, I think. So have you got much merch in your collection, Justin, that you've just come across as you've traveled?
No, I really haven't. I don't even have an Apple t-shirt that I'm aware of. So I've got a couple of things that just happen to be in boxes. So like the 20th anniversary of Macintosh, of course, came with all sorts of merch as part of the package. So pens and CD holders and leather-bound things and whatever else that sort of went with the workstation. I've kept bags, and sadly I haven't kept them well, but I've got some Rainbow logo bags that were from original Apple stores or resellers and things like that. But unfortunately, as you mentioned with the floods, I've had some posters that just happened to come my way, but they've all got water stained along the way. So heartbreaking when you realise, and particularly when you realise that I've kept that for 20 years and it would have been, quite a piece to display, but just not anymore, sadly.
I was going to say as well, I think the other thing is on the merch side of stuff, there's the stuff that was available to the public, and then there was the stuff that was available just to employees or just to the Apple channel in their distribution channel, so resellers and whatnot. So if you were targeting, it's also, I think there's a big trap of being caught up where someone might say, hey, this is some sort of exclusive piece of merchandise, and it's very expensive if you'd like to buy it, and you buy it only to find out, oh, actually it was distributed through their gift shop at Cupertino, for example. So there's millions of them out there. So I think you'd want to take extra caution as well to make sure that you're buying something which is what the seller's saying it is.
Yeah, that's right. And we're in the news coming up. We'll be talking about the authenticity of some things that are worth a lot of money, and trying to find out the legitimate history of some of these things, and their provenance is really important when you start paying big money.
Yes, absolutely.
So for everyone listening along, what's your strategy? How do you decide what you're going to collect, what you're going to buy and put aside as part of your Apple collection? We'd love to find out. I would certainly love to find out, because I'm still grappling with how to make those decisions. And well, as I said, budget is probably my key driver at the moment. But if you've got some suggestions about how to do it, or there's other groups out there, obviously on forums and so forth, that talk about these sorts of things fairly regularly. So if you've got any input, please put it in the comments and let us know. We'd love to hear your thoughts. So on to the recent news, and there's a few things we could talk about, but this one struck my eye, and I know it probably should be in the for sale section, but it isn't in Australia. And well, if any viewers out there have got enough money to buy it, please let us know. We need to make a deal. But there is this Apple One that's available at Sotheby's. So that tells you something straight away. And currently the one and only bid is for $350,000 US. So that's very expensive. But it does have good prominence. It's one of the ROM key versions, and there's a whole story behind that, which we probably won't go into today. But this machine is well known. The history of it's well known. It's in good condition. I believe it's been renovated and actually operates. Comes with an Apple IIc screen, interestingly enough. There's a whole lot of debate online about that. But that's just how it is. Rather than a period correct, which is what a lot of people are arguing about. And it's got the tape interface. You can see it there in that picture, and there's a close-up picture, I think, further down. So yes, an Apple One computer, they don't come up that often. They are extremely expensive, and I thought that was probably newsworthy. And as it happens, whilst I hadn't seen anything online chatting about it, but looking at the Sotheby's listing, there happens to be a Rev Zero Apple II as well. So not the very, very first series, because they didn't have vents. So this isn't the very first version, but it's a Rev Zero board. So it's the earliest motherboard in the second version of the case, I would imagine. And you can see the keyboard's the early version with the raised power light, etc., etc. So this one, a little bit cheaper. So not quite as deep pockets required for this one. 4 bids so far, and currently at $13,000 US. So again, a rare beastie, and I thought newsworthy this week.
Justin, have you got one?
Have I got a Rev Zero? No.
Rev Zero? No. Have you got a ventless?
I don't know, and I don't have a ventless case, but I do have an Apple II, so not a Plus and not a Euro, with the raised power light. So that's as close as I'm going to get in terms of my rabbit hole for these, because I can't afford $13,000 US for a Revo. So
Yeah, I was going to say on the topic of rabbit hole, you can start to see some of the dollars attached with fulfilling those goals of ticking off every variant of Apple II in this instance.
Oh, absolutely. And as a complete aside, I think I spoke last week about fortunately getting an ITT 2020.
Yes.
And I talked about the Clearlight version. And there is one coming out, I believe. So there's a lot of chatter about one coming up for auction. But I happened to check, and one got sold earlier in the year, and it was for 22,000 American dollars. So there's just no way I could afford that in my collection. So so you do have to pick and choose. In my case, going back to the Apple One, it's pretty clear that I'm never going to, unless I win the lottery, and even then I'd probably think twice about spending this much money on a circuit board. But I've got a replica instead. That's as close as I'm going to get to an Apple One, is a couple of $1,000s for a replica. So I do have an Apple One. It's not a legit original one, but it looks the part, and for my budget, it's what I can afford.
Very cool. Very cool. And where could people see this Apple One, Justin, if they wanted to check it out coming up soon?
Well, they might want to come to the VCF in Canberra. There might be a replica on display. Who knows?
Very good.
Otherwise, the Mac Museum on the 2nd of August. There's a couple of options.
Yeah.
Okay, time to talk about coming events. I noticed that the Technology Markets team have put out a Facebook post confirming that they've got 2 upcoming technology markets. The first one is on the 3rd of August, coming up in Reservoir, and then on Sunday the 10th of August in Keysborough. No news yet whether these are going to be retro computer displays or not, so watch those various channels to see if the retro team are going to be there as well. But certainly the technology markets are coming up. And we know about this one, the 2nd of August. We've got the next Mac Museum Open Day, Matt.
That's it, 2nd of August. Let's all be praying for a nice, beautiful, sunny day, and look forward to catching up with people. Come down, get your hands on some of the vintage Apple computers that are here to play with and check out. And importantly, come and have a chat with Justin and myself.
Be great. Spoke about this last few times as well. The ROSFest 40 is on the 26th of July, so that's coming up. Again, it's in a private home, so just contact the organisers and they will give you all the details. But it is up in New South Wales. I noticed this post just came through during the week. So the Adelaide Retro Computer Group Swap Meet is coming up. So they had a meeting last week, I believe, and now on the 26th of July at the Unley Community Centre in Adelaide, they had their swap meet. So it looks pretty good. Retro computers and consoles and software. Looks like a great place to be. I don't know whether I can get across to it. Matt, you think you might get there?
No, I won't be able to get there. I'm sort of stuck local at the moment, but looks like a good one to get to if you're in Adelaide.
Next up, Kansas Fest is this weekend, the 18th to the 20th of July. So only a couple of days to go. It is an online event hosted out of the US for all the Apple II lovers that are around. I checked earlier today and you can still register even this late. So if you're interested and you'd like to participate online, Kansas Fest is coming up this coming weekend. And the big one, the Canberra Vintage Computer Festival is on this weekend as well. In particular, the Saturday is the free expo day from 10 o'clock until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'll be there, so please come and say hello. And I'll have a whole lot of hopefully very interesting static displays for people to have a look at and ask lots of questions. And it'd be great to meet people there. So come along. Right, so we're up to that time to talk about our current finds. Now, this week, whilst there's some interesting things on eBay, I actually decided to focus on Gumtree. And there's a heap of stuff. In fact, I've got so much stuff, we can probably cover 2 or 3 episodes. So what I did for today is I looked at Gumtree retro Apple items that were under $500. So this is the bargain basement, but there's some fantastic finds.
I think if you're watching along and you haven't watched our eBay Marketplace Gumtree finds before, this is the one to watch because there are some good deals here. I'm very impressed, and full credit to you, Justin, for finding them and cherry picking them. These look great.
They're out there. So first up, we've got a Macintosh LC working with hard drive and keyboard for $140 here in Victoria. Looks like a nice machine.
This one looks really clean. 140, I think, is very reasonable. The fact you get the keyboard with it as well, which you could say is worth, $40 or $50, depending on the day of the week, and it's on its own. So this looks like a really good one.
Yep, and it's the original model with the option for 2 floppy drives, should you wish. The only one that allowed you to do that.
That's it.
Next up is a bundle. So we've got a G3 tower, the Blueberry Tower, and a G4 tower for $149. Again, in Victoria, different seller, but I just thought this was fantastic value. And it's got a Pro keyboard and Pro mouse as well. What a deal.
Yeah. Again, here you could say $50 for the keyboard and mouse, $50 for the G4, $50 for the G3, and you've very well justified this bundle. Original power cables. Viewers are going to learn. I get excited when I see original power cables in the pictures of these things. So that's cool. And the G3 in particular looks, I thought, pretty clean at this view. I think there's only one photo, isn't there?
There is. This is it. Yeah.
Yeah, so look, the feet look to be intact, which is great because they can suffer some damage. So someone go and buy it.
Get onto it because it won't be there long, I don't think. Next up, a G4 PowerBook. This one's in New South Wales, and it's $140. So it's not the titanium. I'm actually looking for a second titanium for my own collection. Otherwise, I jump at it. But a really nice, clean-looking aluminium G4 PowerBook. Pretty good price too.
Very cool. Yeah, that's very reasonable, I think.
Next up, we've had quite a few G4 iMacs because both Matt and I love them. We love the iconic view, and it was only out for a limited period. In fact, Matt did a presentation about the G4 iMacs at the museum. So we've had others on, and they're up in the $1,000 mark, a lot of them. And I thought this one in Tasmania for $100 was an absolute bargain. And as you can see from the couple of photos, it does post, so it's clearly working. Might need a reinstall perhaps, but otherwise looks in great nick. Now I think it's just the computer, so you'd need to go and grab a keyboard and so forth. But even so, pretty cheap for a G4 that's working.
$100, yeah, bargain.
Next up, we've got a monster. I've got one of these, and they're enormous. The 30-inch Apple Cinema display in aluminium for $40 in Queensland. Now, you might need to pay some shipping, but this is a reasonably rare monitor. It's very large. They're lovely. I was using it for a long time before I got my Thunderbolt screen. So I can vouch for the 30-inch Cinema, assuming it's working. I think it is. $40 from Queensland. Matt, you were looking for one of these, weren't you?
Yeah, if I was in Queensland, I would snap this up. Quick Smart, $40 is a bargain. It's got the power supply. It works according to the photo as well and the description. So, yeah, again, someone buy this. It's a great deal to be had there.
And if you don't live in Queensland, maybe go back a few episodes. We talked about shipping. There are other carriers other than the national carrier that could do this very cheaply. And we've got lots of tips and tricks in that previous episode about how to box it and wrap it so that it arrives in good shape. And I thought I would throw this in because I've been looking at these keyboards for a little while. So old Apple USB extended keyboard from Victoria, $5. Absolute total bargain. In fact, I may well buy it before this gets published. So Matt and I have been talking about the variations of the Apple Pro keyboards, and the distinctive issue with this one is it's got the white cable, not the translucent cable. So there are two variations that at least I'm aware of so far. And yeah, $5, you can't go wrong.
Great way just for someone to start their vintage Apple collection. Start with the keyboard, build your way up. You can put it with that iMac from Tasmania, and although it'd be black and not white. But yeah.
Or if you buy the
correct
combo towers, then you've got a second keyboard for the second computer.
That's it. How cool. Very good. That was a great selection, JD. Well done on finding those.
Yeah, and I've got more to go, but I didn't think we could fit them all in today. So stay tuned. We'll have more bargains coming from a whole range of places. And that brings us to the end of episode 6, the Rabbit Hole edition. So again, we appreciate any comments you want to put down below, particularly ideas for future episodes. If there's things you'd like Matt and I to talk about, please let us know. So Matt, any reflection on the episode today? Any changes in your thinking about how you might approach the museum and what you focus on?
Oh gosh, I don't think there's any change in thinking, just more to think about. So we could this episode could go for 2, 3, 4 hours, I reckon, JD. So there's so much more to be said, and we can cover some of the individual rabbit hole items in future episodes. So yes, look forward to exploring this in more depth in future episodes as well. So Justin, good luck ahead for the weekend as well. I think that's great that you can get up there. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make it, but for anyone that can get there, great opportunity to connect with a lot of people and see some great stuff, I think.
Yeah, so again, come along, Canberra Vintage Computer Festival on Saturday, 10 o'clock till 3 o'clock is the public open session. I'll be there with bells on and some computers to show. So please come and say hello. Don't be shy. I'm up for the chat.
Wonderful.
And even then, we'll be back again next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out. And take a look at some of the earlier episodes if you're new here. There's at least 5 other episodes of us chatting about various Apple collecting things. So thanks again. Thanks, Matt. And take care, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, JD. See you.
Thank you for joining the Macdownunder Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you again soon.